Welcome back. I relocated a little bit to the south, and I'm just going to voice over this part here because it got a little long-winded. I went out, tried to chase this distant gobble I heard, never even got within a half mile of it. It just stayed really distant. I ran into some more palms. Wasn't quite expecting that. Ran into a bunch of deadfall, had to climb up out of it. Not a big fan of the deadfall, so I know to put that area off limits in my travel. And then I went driving to go check out another spot. There's a big tom. He's on a private field, but he's right next to public. Right here. He's on the other side over there. I got to figure a way to cross this creek and get over there to the edge. The field on the other side is private. The woods are public. So as I cross the creek and I'm climbing up the bank, I kind of got to use my hands. It's really steep. And I catch out of the corner of my eye this muddy, fat snake curled up. I got within 3 or 4 feet of coming up face to face with a water moccasin. That was a little bit unnerving. I may have jumped to conclusions on the sex of that bird. She must have heard me coming in because it was a hen, and she got pretty close to the shadows behind here. So by the time I got in here, she was right there kind of looking at me in the sunlight. Nothing on her chest. Definitely a hen. But that snake, that was a fat one. I gotta go right past that joker. Unless I can go back out and go up over the bridge, which might not be a bad idea. I got my feet and my boots wet, and all I got to show for it is a hen clucking at me.
Well, it's Thursday morning. The sky is turning. The owls have started a little bit, and I'm just hoping to hear a gobbler.
As I'm walking away from the car that's over here, one just gobbled off down here. It almost seems like it's right down the power line on the edge of this clear cut. I gotta figure out how to get there though. That power line and clear cut are obviously too open to work. I wish he'd gobble again, but it kind of sounded like he was... That was him again. Vicinity of the creek, near the power line. Get down to the creek on this side of the clear cut and try to go toward the power line. So I go through the woods, get close to the power line, and I realize he's on the other side of the power line, not far into the wood lines. I set up on my side of the power line, just inside, and if I could get him to come to the edge, he's in range. So I sat there a while. He answered my first call and then went quiet. So I'm thinking, all right, he's sneaking up to the edge. He's gonna be snooping around looking for me. Nothing. And then I started hearing one way up the creek. There's no way he got that far that quick. And then there was one up the hill on his side, but up the hill kind of on the private. area. So I figured he slipped up there, and there's another one way out somewhere. And that one way out somewhere went quiet. So I went up the hill to try to see if I could entice him to me, and nope, no dice. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna eat one of my freeze-dried meals. I think it's only the third one I've done. I've actually made some instant coffee, which I think that's the first time I've done that. See, the meal this morning is pineapple orange chicken. It's still a touch cool this morning. Quite nice, actually. In the sun, it's quite warm. Maybe my boots will dry out. Maybe my socks will dry out over here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to where I was going to go this morning if I didn't hear a gobble, which is basically just further up the creek in some of the draws that feed that creek, and just try out back there, see what's going on. Despite a few more miles, some acrobatics, and my awesome calling, all I found was this big tree.
Good morning. It's Friday morning, and it's a heavy, overcast morning. So I don't expect to hear anything till 5 or 10 minutes past kind of normal time. Maybe even a little longer. So I'm going to give it a while. If I don't hear one gobble, that's going to be it. I've not had any luck or any play if there's no gobble. So I have not been able to strike one up in any state. And it seems like don't get on them first thing in the morning. I don't know if that's a down here thing or maybe just the time of year. I mean, it's only what, April 3rd? And maybe they're not in full swing down here in Mississippi. I'm kind of midway in the state, halfway between the north and south borders. Maybe it's a little hotter down south right now. The action's a little better. All right, we got a gobble. He's on the right side of the power line, which is, I think, south. That's kind of east. So it sounds like he's about as far down as he was, but he's 100, 300, 400, 500 yards in. I missed a few minutes of time because I heard a gobble, but I had no idea which direction. So I had to wait for a second one. But I'm hoping with this overcast, look at that. Real pink and purple, magenta sunrise. So we're gonna get in these woods. I don't think I need to get too far into them. And we'll start trying to get down. But man, those woods are loud. He might not be as far back as I think. I just found this old logging road.
So I found myself in a little predicament. I'm trying to figure out where I should position myself because I'm really close to the gobbler, and then I hear him pitch down. I hadn't called to him yet, so I gave him a little bit on the box call to let him know that, hey, you need to come check me out.
It was a Jake. I am 300 yards from the car right now. So this guy was about 80 yards in here. There's like an old logging road right here, but it's open. And once I realized he's only right there, I couldn't go any further this way. So I cut in, and I'm stuck here because there's this deep creek ditch. And I wanted to be in here just a little bit, but this tree right here, I said, this is probably the best compromise. So I'm standing here, and I hear him pitch down. So I get out my call, and I get real tight to the tree. I got a little bit of just stuff behind me, but I'm tight up on the tree. I give him a little call, and I see him. I finally see him about 50 yards, 60 yards, going across. So he goes behind a bunch of stuff, and I give him just another little call on the box call. And sure enough, he comes right down about 30 to 35 yards right through here. And he just had the little stubby. Just a little stubby. Dang, man. If he had a beard, he would have been done right there at 30, 35 yards. Oh. Well, there's worse ways to have a last morning. So I gave him about 20 minutes or so to keep moving on. I'll give him another few minutes before I walk out in case he's malingering in the power line. Malingering? Lingering in the power line. But I've got all these spots marked. Maybe this wouldn't be a bad place to try next year. Maybe. Mississippi has kicked my butt though. But that's 3 mornings in a row I've had birds gobbling in the morning. Well, it'll be interesting to see if that Jake made it on camera here in the low light. Once again, I'd like to thank my grandma and grandpa for this bonus turkey hunt this spring. Round 1 is in the books. It was good. Some lessons learned on how to out-of-state hunt. Maybe what I need to have and don't have. And know that it's just going to be frustrating because you don't know where you're going. Throw in the coronavirus stuff that's going on right now and all the closures and junk. Even more so. I know that some of this chunk of video got a little long in the tooth, but I thank you for watching.